Political activist and founder of the Center for Values in Leadership, Professor Pat Utomi recently weighed in on the newly announced African Democratic Congress-led opposition coalition, warning that the alliance will not succeed if its sole purpose is to win election. Since its announcement, the coalition has continued to generate reactions across the political space, with many questioning its true intention and strategy ahead of 2027. Now, to discuss this, I'm joined by Professor Pat Utomi. He's a professor of political economy and management expert. He joins virtually from Abuja. Thank you for your time, sir.
It's a great pleasure.
All right, sir. Let me just put this to you straight ahead. In a recent interview, you did sort of talk about, your, what I call it, take on this coalition. But for the sake of emphasis, sir, looking at the crop of political leaders that make up this coalition and your standpoint as regards Nigerians, their current reality, and even our political space, what do you make of it, sir?
No, I think it's a good thing that a group of politicians are coming together to build a broader platform. But I make a point that is not new, that I have made repeatedly since 2012. In fact, I go back to quote Alhaji Bamanga Tukur, who I guess was PDP chairman besides his many other roles. In his recently released book, collection of his speeches, I was quite fascinated to find one particular entry in which he warned the PDP nearly 20 years ago to avoid becoming just a machine for winning elections. And this is something that I have said repeatedly and which I if you will, emphasized when I gave the leadership newspaper's annual lecture in Abuja in 2012. And the title of that lecture, not chosen by me, chosen by the newspaper, was Political Parties. And I said that if we don't have political parties that have very clearly defined worldviews with values that sustain those and ways for socializing recruits into the specific ideas on how that party solves social, political, and economic problems, we would not be able to build a consistent base for development. So, following the same thing I've been saying since, I have not said anything new at all. I just repeated something I said before 2012, in 2012, and I've repeated several times. That is to say, I urged that those coming together in the ADC, and by the way, I'm one of those. I was at most of those meetings, and I repeated it in the meetings that were private. Let us identify how we want to transform our country. Let us identify the pain of our people. Let us commit all here to ways of lifting the pain. And whoever comes through the process as in a particular position, whether it's for president or for whatever else, should then represent what we collectively focus on. And in leading, he must seek to unify and lead collectively, collegial leadership. What has gone wrong in the last two leadership rounds in Nigeria is that people emerged and saw themselves as one man who was anointed to do X, Y, or Z. If you go back in Nigerian history, it wasn't like that. Even back in the days of Alhaji Shehu Shagari, we had very, very, very powerful chairmen of the party, like Chief Akiloye, we had very involved senior ministers, and President Shagari generally consulted and carried his team with him.
All right.
But what has happened in the post-military bureaucratic prebendal arrangement is that you have this one-man thing which has prevented people from being held accountable and has negatively impacted development.
All right, Professor. I mean, you established quite a couple of things, but one thing you seem to establish is that the core value should be about the nation, how to better the lives of Nigerians, how to put, what I call it, personal political interest, at the back seat and the collective good ahead. But many Nigerians are questioning permit me to use the word, caliber of politicians who make up this coalition. For some Nigerians, they feel that a number of them have political baggage. They've been leaders at various capacity before. And right now, they seem to come together, even though this is not the first time Nigerians have seen a coalition. They seem to come together to say, you know what, we have a better solution to the problems on ground. You've been a leader before now. Why didn't you solve it? Some are even saying that, look, you are even part of the problem. So what is new? What is different? I would like you to speak on that, particularly with the makeup of the politicians, involved.
Look, you see, when a nation is building, is growing, a lot of people will get involved, make mistakes, maybe learn from their mistakes. The concept of failing forward, John Maxwell's famous concept, you learn from your mistakes. So maybe they will bring something to the table. But I have something even more fundamental. I have suggested that every generation must make its shoulders available for the next generation to stand on so that the next generation will see more clearly. I also do not think that it is a good thing for people to hang around political office in perpetuity or perpetually or whichever one. I am 69 years old. I consider myself now already too old to be a cabinet minister. I consider myself as such that I've given my children the authority that if I'm still alive at 75 and they hear that I've gone to some political meeting other than, sitting at home and giving elders advice, they should immediately have me arrested and brought home because I may have somehow begun to go senile and not realize what I promised them. So, I mean, okay, these are personal values, but I think that really we shouldn't have people who are certain age running around. Yes, they may still be the most capable of people, but it's not fair to the next generation that the same people have been around for 40, 50 years, even those of us who literally have not held office. I mean, since I had a couple of weeks a stint when I was 27, I have not held any public office. Even at that, I do not want to hold one at this age because I don't think it is fair to the next generation. Ministers should typically be in their 40s and 50s, and perhaps president, vice president could be in their 50s and 60s. But anybody who is over 75 who's running, I think should generally not think that, this is the way, because the younger people have they should consider themselves fathers of the nation. That's the way I see the gathering together, that these fathers of the nation have gotten together. They should now then find younger people to advise and show the way to make a difference and not repeat the mistakes they themselves made in previous incarnations, so to speak, when they held public office.
All right, Professor Pat Utomi, thank you so much. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll definitely dig deeper into this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me, Professor Pat Utomi, who's a professor of political economy and management expert. He's joining, of course, virtually from Abuja. Thank you for staying with me, sir. Sir, let's talk about what I call it, the shadow government that you announced a while back that, generated a lot of reactions, even from the government itself. We know that at some point, the DSS, even raised concerns on this. I would like you to speak more on if there are updates to that, and if the shadow government initiative is still on.
Well, the initiative of what we call the shadow cabinet, of a shadow team, is still on. We have just finished a 3-day retreat to clearly outline methodology for effectively, establishing how the Nigerian people are being governed and providing alternatives to external policies and providing citizens a voice. The miscommunications that led to what I like to call unnecessary excitement when the idea came even took me completely aback. I was out of the country at the time. But I know that we have been at this shadow, business for many, many years. So why it suddenly became a matter of currency, I couldn't figure. At the retreat, which we just concluded barely an hour ago, one of the shadow team members responsible for infrastructure and housing was making the point about the mega master plan for infrastructure, including gas, pipeline, and road infrastructure, including, interestingly, Lagos-Calabar Highway. We made a presentation of this in 2010 to the shadow team. This same shadow team, same person. So we've been at this for a very long time. We've presented to government officials. I've spoken about this to a president, incumbent president, President Umaru Yar'Adua. Back in 2008, I spent 2 hours discussing this with him. So what made it become so exciting recently, I don't know, but maybe it's a good omen. As I have said, I am essentially a student of institutions and economic performance. And I know that institutions evolve from the kinds of engagement of citizenry on matters of critical importance. And so, in a sense, it's a good thing that the state security have gone to court. The courts will make input and establish some precedents in the evolution of democracy, checks and balances, accountability, and all of that, which is precisely what the idea of a shadow team tries to engage with. I do believe that the majority of Nigerians already understand this, and they first heard the idea of parallel. She's far, far, far from it. Government, some people have suggested parallel government in the past. We have no interest in that. We just want to be a citizen body of politicians who have opposition perspectives, getting together to ensure that we name people to specialize in certain agencies of government because their focus is just that agency. If you were the shadow person for infrastructure, like the gentleman was presenting this afternoon, all you think is infrastructure in Nigeria. So whatever the ministries that are responsible for infrastructure do, you are looking at it very carefully. You already have research, evidence-based information that you can use to say, no, this is how it was done in Kenya. This is how South Africans responded to it. perhaps we can do it this other way. And we even said as much as that we invite the DSS to send a participant to our meetings. That way we can get input from them on issues like security. So that will help us. But they don't have to come if they don't think it's not an organ of state. It's not a formal organ of anything. It's a citizens group trying to make input into governance.
I mean, you just gave an invitation to the DSS. Should they be interested in attending one of the presentations, you know, during the initiative? But let's get your reaction to, you know, a developing, will I call it, issue right now. We are beginning to see some countries adjust their travel policy to the country. Just recently, we saw that the UAE adjusted its, what I call it, visa policy, particularly when it comes to transit visas, sort of stopping it or restricting it. Canada also increased its proof of fund, you know, for Nigerians to about 17 million naira. And we're also seeing travel policies to immigration policies to from the U.S., you know, to Nigeria. I mean, what does this reflect of our global image as a nation, and what would be your advice to maybe the government or even Nigerians to correct, if at all, you know, this anomaly?
You know, sometimes we like to talk a lot about something that is untoward when we should be doing things, you know, could have done before. Look, when I was a young undergraduate in Nigeria in the early 70s, I didn't need to get a visa to go to the United Kingdom. So did the young Malay, because we were all old Commonwealth people. You arrived Heathrow and you got a visa. During the oil boom days, when Nigerians were actually literally spending naira on the shops of London, nobody asked for that. But because the economic conditions in Nigeria have become challenging and Nigerians are trying to escape to anywhere, people don't want to be burdened by people who are essentially economic refugees. So they make life more difficult. The Malaysians who used to go in with me back in those days without a visa are still going without a visa from Kuala Lumpur. They get to London Heathrow, they get at the airport and go in. What we should focus on is the root causes. Why is our economy not growing? What is the character issue of Nigerians that really kept our image down? If we work on building a strong economy, making Nigerians people of values that, you know, strongly respected for character and all of that, these things will reverse themselves. I don't think that we'll get anywhere by, you know, shouting at the British, the Americans, the whoever it is that's changing these policies. They're only reacting to what they're experiencing.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for your time on the program. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. Thank you once again, and we hope to have you again.